One of the most common interview questions is, what are your weaknesses? Everybody has weaknesses. Whether you're a managing director of a company or whether you're a junior member of the team, everybody has a weakness. What you don't say at an interview is you don't have any weaknesses, because as I say, everybody has them. And it can be a common trap, particularly for junior people, to say that. I say everybody has them, but what you need to demonstrate at the interview is, what are you doing to overcome them? Now, to give you an example, weaknesses might be not being able to delegate properly. It might be procrastination. It might be being unorganized. It might be lacking self-confidence. Now, to give you an example of how to answer this question, or how to structure the answer, is we use the acronym WAR, which is W-A-R. The W stands for, well, what is the weakness? The A stands for, well, what action are you taking to overcome it? And R is, what is the result? What actually happened since you've overcome that weakness? So the example we're about to use is a person that was having difficulties in delegating. This is a salesperson. So again, you can adapt your particular weakness to whatever industry you're in or whatever job role. But I say what I'm trying to demonstrate here with this tutorial is how to structure the answer using WAR, W-A-R. So the answer is, for the past few months, I've found it difficult to delegate activities related to my customers, including customer service and project management. I'm really passionate about what I do, and I believe I go the extra mile to help support my customers. However, the problem I have is I end up doing too much, and customers contact me directly instead of the customer support line. As a result, this takes more time away from selling and means I do longer hours to compensate. The steps I've taken to address this is, first, speak to my manager and mentor within the organisation. I knew the extent of the problem, and I list my concerns, which included losing control of the accounts, somebody else interfering and causing problems in the account, which may result into a drop in standards. From those conversations, I met customer services managers within our organisation to discuss allocating the best people to the accounts. The result is, I found some really good people who I can trust and rely on and produce an excellent service. My time is put to better use, and I'm now able to spend on average an extra working day a week with prospects. It is being conscious of my weaknesses and being able to act, improve and progress that I feel most proud of. So to summarise the answer and to help you identify where the WAR was used, obviously the weakness is the ability to delegate, and obviously some of the symptoms of that is doing too much work, not being able to trust other people, a fear of dropping standards. But you can see it was quite a positive way that the answer's been addressed. Being able to be that committed to a customer, although it's talking about delegation as the issue, there's kind of quite an underlying positive there, that this person is so committed. However, they must use their time effectively. So to reiterate, the problems were delegation, the ability to trust other people, doing too many hours really, and not being effective. So the action, what action did this person take? Well, they knew they had a problem, which was showing great self-awareness, but the action they took was to speak to a manager, was to speak to a mentor within the organisation. And what that helped do then was identify the best possible people in kind of the contact centre who could almost alleviate that burden, if you like, alleviate the problem of customers contacting the salesperson direct. So finding the best people to manage all of those customers. So the result, so the R, so what happened next? Well, the result was this person then had an extra day in terms of time to speak to new people, to sell new products, which means they're utilizing their time better, which means that because they've identified their weakness, because they've taken the action, the result is they've got more time to actually do the job that they're employed to do, which is obviously to sell. I say what you need to think about next is, what weaknesses do you have and what have you done to overcome them? Just remember that everybody has weaknesses, and having a weakness, there's no problem with that, there's no issue. What you need to do is be very honest with yourself. And as I say, the first phase of applying for any job or even getting to the interview stage is reading the job description. You need to be very, very clear about what the employer wants. Now, if the job description is talking about how IT is important, for example, and how the skills of Word and Excel and spending an awful lot of time at a computer is paramount to the job, and you actually hate using a computer and you don't like using spreadsheets, when that's the difference between kind of not necessarily a weakness, but kind of a lack of skill, which will take a long time to develop. So if you go into an interview and saying IT is your weakness, the chances are you're going to have a major challenge getting the job. What it is, it's about self-awareness. Now, I say weaknesses might be things like communication, or it might be delegation. And what I say, the employer just wants to know that how you've turned that round. What have you done to improve? What have you done to rectify the problem? And it's about telling a story, and telling a story that's real and it's true. And use the war again to help you in terms of structuring your thoughts. And this is the key thing at interview, and the best bit of advice that I can give really, which is, the weakness. What action did you take? What was the result? The key thing you want to do is plan that answer before you go in. And again, just remember the acronym. What's the weakness? What action did I take? And what was the result? If you do that, you'll have a better chance of being successful at the interview. So wishing you all the very, very best. I hope that's made sense. I hope that's a good example. And as I say, best of luck at the interview.